Yeah, hold it proud.
You guys want Miss Long to hold it? Oh yeah, you are so tall. Wow, she's got a lot of upper body strength. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to. Oh, swim for 8 years. Okay, I did, but I still don't have it. You're so tall. I mean, I can't see Jack. She can reach the cabinets. So she can use the bag. Yeah, what else is there? I keep Travis around to kill spiders.
Yeah, I'm too short to reach.
Really does the spiders too. The cabinets and spiders. Yeah.
Actually, the most romantic gift I ever got for an anniversary was Berwick to come and spray for spiders. I really have.
That's ridiculous.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Your arms get tired. You just ask me.
Hi. Jill, can you give up the presentation? I'll just have you take the slide. So good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present our state assessment update. Tonight I'm going to share with you where we are and most importantly the steps we're taking to support student growth and achievement moving forward. Let me go on to the next slide. Just as a reminder, our state assessments show us both proficiency and growth. Proficiency, how many students are meeting grade level standards, and growth, how our students are progressing over time. We do not yet have our PBAS scores in the system, so tonight we're going to be talking about our proficiency specifically. For our ELA proficiency, our results continue to show us that consistency and early literacy matter. When we're looking at the variability in grades 3 and 5, it's indicating to us that we must be very cautious about sustaining strong foundations in literacy from our early grades onward. Our consistent implementation of strong core instruction will help us to ensure that all students are provided high-impact instruction by design. And this year's new literacy resources in grades K through 4 are designed to help address these challenges. We have been piloting a 6 to 8 literacy resource, and we will work with our 5th grade to pilot this school year. Math continues to be a challenge for us, in particular for our grades 5 through 7, where our proficiency remains well below 40%. We will continue to monitor effective implementation of our core math resources. We will have renewed focus on fact fluency in our elementary grades. Dr. Bendel has been gracious enough to offer some special incentives for our elementary students who demonstrate math fact fluency. For both math and literacy, we have implemented flex periods at our middle school for targeted supports and enrichment. We can go on to the next slide for our keystone. As a reminder, our algebra scores on this slide include both middle and high school algebra scores. Biology continues to show us a steady upward trajectory. We're now crossing 50%. This is a positive trend and reflects both instruction and student engagement. With our enhanced focus on science through the implementation of our STEEL standards in grades K through 12, we are striving to see this score continue to trend upward as more students enter our high school with a solid foundation in scientific thinking and content knowledge. Algebra remains our most challenging keystone subject, though our 2024 spike does demonstrate that gains are possible with targeted support, which we'll be implementing again this year. And literature continues to have results above where we were in 2023. So we're continuing to see some improvement when we look at it overall. Moving on to our response is continuing to strengthen the instructional core at every level. This means we're engaging students in the learning process. We're supporting our teachers with effective instructional practices, ensuring academically challenging content and high-quality materials, and building strong feedback loops so instruction is continually refined. At the elementary level, we've made some important changes this year. We have updated curriculum maps, pacing guides, and consistent daily schedules. In both of our buildings, our students are experiencing the same pacing, the same content in each of their subject areas. We've also adopted new core literacy resources, UFly and Amplify CKLA in grades K to 4. And we have added an enrichment special and STEM resources, which help us to ensure that we're providing all of our students both with some skill enhancement as well as additional academic opportunities. At our middle school, our students now benefit from a daily enrichment and flex period, which provides both support and extension opportunities. We're also diving into project and problem-based learning through programs such as PBL Works, the Empowerment Collaborative, and STEM initiatives such as the SEAL Challenge. These approaches make our learning more engaging and relevant. In addition, we are continuing to strengthen PBIS to support a positive learning environment. At the high school level, our focus is on preparing students for life after graduation and ensuring that they're college, career, and community ready. We're expanding access to post-secondary credentials and credits, continuing to update our curriculum maps, advancing our pathways model so that every student has a clear path forward. Our mentorship opportunities are growing, and we are continuing to connect our students with supportive adults and future-ready experiences. We will continue to monitor our progress through our growth indicators in PVOS. While our scores highlight areas for growth, the real story that we want to focus on tonight is the work that we already have underway and will continue. Our updated curriculum, investment in instructional resources, expanding student opportunities, and building systems that engage all learners. And we are confident that these steps will continue to move our district forward.
Any questions for Dr. Shaw? Those on the roads, anything else?
What was that, multiple events, yeah, nothing to report. She said I was out to the board, she'll update in the future.
Okay, anything on buildings and grounds? Mrs. Post, you have anything for us?
Do, and that's clinic, which is IU's newly licensed psychiatric outpatient clinic. This is going to be very good for us because all the school districts that are associated with the IU will be able to use this clinic. And what they offer is trauma-informed, evidence-based therapy, diagnostic evaluations, and limited psychiatric care, with an initial focus on serving our students. Therefore, if we have students who really need help, we can contact the IU. I think that's important. Thank you.
We have not had a policy committee meeting since our last meeting. Mr. Escotek.
All right. Mike and I attended the last JOC meeting. Interviews are ongoing for hiring an assistant principal. Right now, they have issues with their gym floor. There's a pipe that burst and it's causing damage to the gym floor. Hopefully it's covered by insurance. We're working on that. Other things that came up in the meeting right now, there's no teacher contract in place. That expired at the end of June. For whatever reason, negotiations weren't going on in the summer. People wanted to take vacations to negotiate, but we at least have a meeting scheduled for later this week, so hopefully we get that back on track. I'm gonna address the elephant in the room, the upcoming, the study that's been talked about. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Number one, it hasn't been discussed yet what topics are gonna be covered in the survey. Obviously, there's some districts that want the delivery model. There's other things that us and our districts are like part of that study, like course offerings, curriculum. Are we up to snuff compared, I mean, we're constantly looking and evolving our curriculum. VOTEC is just like us. We need to constantly look at and evolve, make sure we're meeting the needs of our students. I could say as a board member, and I think what I could easily say for our board here, the students need to come first in anything we look at, any possible changes that are gonna be made. At this point, we need to address what's gonna be in that study before we even put this out for RFP, which for people that aren't familiar with is a request for proposal. So, and myself personally, I know before we look at anything as serious as changing the delivery model, I need some hard questions answered that hopefully will get answered by a good, thorough, independent study. But at the end of the day, what we do for the kids needs to come first. So we can get more updates as things progress. I mean, my next suggestion is meeting with, maybe forming a committee with the JOC, doing like strategic planning to see maybe we could throw together who wants what as part of this study before it goes out for proposal. Me personally, I got no problem including community members, alumni. Because I mean, after all, I've always looked at this for the last 8 years that this is an extension of our high school, it's our second high school. And we need to treat it as such.
What does it look like down there in your JOC meetings, like when we have academic affairs report outs, do they report out stuff like that on curriculum and achievement?
To be honest with you, on the JOC level, it's been years since we had that kind of work. I mean, there's been tremendous turnover since 2020. That's probably part of the problem. So I mean, we have to sit down and start getting our stuff together, start looking at stuff. And to be honest with you, do we have lacking in our curriculum down there? I'm not a curriculum person. I honestly don't know. My suggestion is we have good curriculum coordinators in the sending districts. Liz, maybe we can start doing powwows and stuff to start looking at. I mean, that's the easiest fix before throwing the baby out the bathwater, in my opinion.
Yeah, so maybe there's other things we can look at before we get to the level of change.
Exactly. That's all I have for this whole thing.
Okay, thank you. Bring us to the end of the committee portion of our meeting. So, we'll have approval of the board meeting minutes from our August 18th meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Monthly bills, roll call vote. Motion to approve. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dion?
Yes.
Mr. Heck?
Yes.
Mrs. Paterno? Mr. Lanning?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Nestle?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Keating?
Yes.
Floor is yours. Thank you. So I want to just report out, I think we've had an extremely positive start to the school year. I've personally been in every single building multiple times, almost on a daily basis, in and out of classrooms, and there's great things happening here at Berwick. So hopefully we can continue that momentum moving forward throughout the year. Middle school, I sent out an email out over the weekend, but in case you did not see it, no, our middle school is not on fire. But we did have a faulty sensor, which I believe the company was in today to look at, tomorrow. So we will get that rectified, but there was no fire. But 15 people called me, so apparently that's a good thing, that people want to let me know that there's a problem in Berwick. So I appreciate everybody that reached out and continue to do that, because sometimes people think I know something that I don't. As many of you know, the state budget is still at an impasse. There is not an approved state budget. We can safely say that we are in okay shape for the next 4 months. We will continue to evaluate that on a monthly basis, but we're in good shape for the next 4 months. Steve and myself will give you updates each month to let you know where we're at, but we hope that our legislators get to a passed budget sooner or later. October 13th is our next board meeting. I'm going to throw this on the table. That is also parent-teacher conference. What I would suggest, because I know some of you have children that you would be probably wanting to attend the parent-teacher conference, could we move the October board meeting to either the Monday before or the Monday after? That would be the 6th or the 20th.
I'm good with either one. Let's check with our 15.
We'll go with the 6th. We got 5 already. So 6th, so we'll move that to the 6th. I met with Service First this past week. I'll bring more detail the next time, but I wanted to, this is a very positive thing. They do a reality fair. They've agreed to bring that to Berwick. What that consists of is they come into the classroom prior. They'll meet with every senior and every junior, and they will determine a career path, meaning a job that the kid maybe wants to have upon graduation. They will get a salary for that job. They will go away, and when they come back for the reality fair, they will give each junior and each senior a pamphlet, and then they go around. The whole high school gym will be full of tables, and that kid will have a monthly account, and they will have to go to a table for housing. They'll have to go to a table for like a car. They'll have to go to the table for insurance and cell phones. What I've watched this in multiple districts. What happens a lot of times is kids go through it and they say, I don't know how my parents do it, I'm out of money. Right. So the kids get sent back and said, well, go figure it out, and maybe you don't need the most expensive car or you're in the housing. So I think it's a great thing that will be happening at our Berwick High School come this spring. And we're thankful to Service First for agreeing to bring that here. And then the last topic I have, which doesn't need to be a discussion tonight, but I don't know how committees work here in the past, but what I'd like to do is get some type of schedule out to the board, because I'm a schedule guy. I don't like to just sit and we have one when we need one, but I'd like to maybe put a schedule together, send that out for a draft for your review, so that we have kind of a structure moving forward. So anybody opposed to that? Okay.
Maybe instead, I mean, back in the day, we used to do the workshop on the first and the meeting the second. Maybe that might cut down some committee meetings if we do something similar. I mean, it's something we can talk about.
Some districts do a committee as a whole, which is kind of like a work session where you hash everything out a week before or 2 weeks before, whatever you want. If you're going to make a change like that, maybe a proper time, if the board would so choose, is come the next board calendar year, which would be
Yeah, there's no sense doing it, but I mean, it's something to have conversation about, to think about what you want to see and don't want to see. I know for me, it's hard to make a lot of committee meetings, because some of them are during the working day.
all right. So, board, you'll have to have some more conversation around that topic. But what I'll do in the meantime is just put together kind of a calendar and send that out as a draft.
That works good.
That's all I have.
We had the building administrative reports. Anybody have any questions or comments? About 25 mentor teacher volunteers to mentor the high school. I think that's a good number. I don't know if anybody else feels about that. That brings us to our first round of public comment. This is for agenda items only. State your name and township or borough.
I'll go. Before I start though, I just want to say that I have low vision, and so I really depend upon my hearing to know what's going on around me. And it's really disheartening that you're still not using microphones. And I know I have really good hearing, and I'm straining to hear what you're saying. And I know there are people around me that are really struggling with hearing. This is a public meeting. Good evening. My name is Jill Freeman, and I'm from the borough. In our district of fewer than 3,000 students, if we do the math and we apply the national statistic of 1% of the population being transgender, we're talking about fewer than 30 kids, probably closer to a handful. This is not a trans pandemic. This is a very small number of vulnerable students. The proposed policies about names and bathrooms may sound like just small administrative details, but research shows that they can cause real harm. A 2018 study in the Journal of Adolescent Health found that trans youth who could use their chosen name, in schools had 71% fewer symptoms of severe depression, 34% decrease in suicidal thoughts, and a 65% decrease in suicide attempts compared to those denied that respect. Denying a student their preferred name is in standard setting. It increased risks. Bathroom restrictions are another danger point. According to Glesson's 2021 National School Climate Survey, nearly 70% of transgender students were prevented in one way or another from using bathrooms that matched their gender identity, and those students reported significantly higher levels of anxiety, absenteeism, and harassment, and physical issues like UTIs, urinary tract infections, because being harassed about the bathroom you use tends to make kids hold it, which isn't healthy. Meanwhile, here's what I'm hearing from our students. I've spoken with roughly a dozen kids in this district. Every single one of them has experienced bullying. Not one of them said they cared what name a trans kid goes by or which bathroom they use. What they do care about is being safe from constant bullying, harassment, and intimidation. And none of them thought that this board cared one lick about that. We have a bullying problem in this district, not a trans problem. So if this board wants to make real impact, the energy should go toward bullying prevention, not policing identities and bathroom usage of a handful of kids. Respecting trans kids doesn't cost us anything. And I'm gonna finish. Bullying, but ignoring the bullying problem costs all of our students their sense of safety and mental health risks. Thank you.
Christina Culver. I am from Salem Township. Common sense. I hear these words used a lot in this room. Common sense is defined as the ability to think and behave in a reasonable way and to make good decisions. So let's take a look at policies 216 and 719 and see if they actually make common sense. Central Bucks District spent over $1 million to fight the ACLU and $1.5 million on legal and public relation fees when they passed the same policies. Is it reasonable to put our district in legal and financial jeopardy when there is another Pennsylvania school who paid dearly for doing the same thing? I am sure that my fellow taxpayers won't be happy if our taxes are raised again due to policies that we don't even need. I know these policies weren't written by you, as I trace them back to a far-right law firm that encourages districts to enact policies that harm queer kids, although that isn't their mission. Their real mission is to sow discord in schools, which, wow, that's working, so they can undermine the very fabric of public education. Our queer kids are just collateral damage. They don't care if we get sued, because the real purpose behind these policies is to dismantle public education so they can weasel in school vouchers, which will destroy our public schools. Teachers shouldn't have to worry about all this nonsense, I hear. I agree, as that is exactly how our school functions now. Policy 216 will instead police every word that comes out of their mouth. Your policy will force teachers to support their students to choose that or follow the rules. It is therefore reasonable to assume that this policy will cost us some excellent, caring teachers, ones that our district absolutely cannot lose. Research has shown that trans children who are rejected have a 57% rate of suicide. Trans kids who are supported, the percentage is 4%. Should it not be common sense that protecting the lives of our students is the most important thing to consider? I have heard it said many times that it is common sense for schools to focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic. We know that these policies will have a negative impact on the mental health of so many of our kids. I would think it would go without saying, but it is a lot harder to teach a depressed child. But I can tell you, it is impossible to teach a dead one. I implore you, use your common sense. Protect our children. Their lives are depending on it. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Heather Schrader. I'm a resident in Berwick, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of the transgender and gender diverse youth in our schools. These students deserve what every child deserves, the right to learn in safety with dignity and respect. Yet for too many trans youth, this isn't their reality. They're more likely to be bullied, harassed, or assaulted simply because of who they are. They face higher rates of depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. These are children in our school who are most at risk, yet they cause the least harm. Trans kids are not a danger to their classmates. They are vulnerable and they need our protection. At our last meeting, I listened to a woman say that she hates the term deadening and that it breaks her heart. But she never mentioned the real heartbreak, the statistics of LGBTQ children who died because they were rejected, erased, or stripped of dignity. The word deadening may make some uncomfortable, but let's be clear, it's not nearly as uncomfortable as a child's funeral. This is the true cost when schools fail to protect these kids. And beyond compassion, let's talk about reality. What does it look like if a tall girl or a masculine presenting girl or an intersex student walks into a restroom? Do we even know the difference between intersex and trans? Do we want adults interrogating children about their body parts before using the bathroom? Not only is that humiliating and unsafe, this opens the district up to future and constant lawsuits for harassment, discrimination, and violations of civil rights. This path doesn't protect children, it endangers them, all of them, and it endangers this district legally and financially. Public schools are for everyone. They do not exist to enforce a group's personal beliefs at the expense of another child's safety. If a parent wants to impose their own narrow narrative, then they have the option of private schools. But public schools must remain inclusive because they belong to all of us. When you vote, I ask that you remember that these are not abstract policies. These are real children sitting in our classrooms right now. By affirming protections for transgender youth, you are not giving them special rights. You are giving them the same rights that every student deserves to belong, to be safe, and to learn. 4 quick points. Trans kids aren't asking for special treatment. They're asking to survive long enough to graduate. It's the literal bare minimum that we owe them. If adults can't handle being uncomfortable with a word or term, how can we expect children to handle being unsafe in their own schools? Public schools are for every child. If we can't make room for the most vulnerable, then we failed absolutely all of them. Trans youth are the most at risk, and yet they cause the least harm. The real danger is not their existence, it's our silence. I'd like to know how you're determining which policies are chosen and put on the agenda, because it certainly is not what our kids need. Thank you.
got somebody, hang on a minute, I got somebody back here stood up 3 times now. She keeps getting talked to.
Hello, my name is Marcus Tanner. I'm the educator here at Berwick.
Excuse me, can you come up front? I can hear a word.
And we won't hear the last one.
You got this.
You got it.
Hello, my name is Marcus Tanner. I'm the 8th grader here at Berwick High School. I live in Holland, North Carolina. Thank you for giving me the chance to share my perspective. I don't want biological males in the female bathroom. I do not feel safe emotionally or physically, regardless of what they identify as. A biological male is genetically stronger and more powerful than I am. This isn't about excluding anyone, but making sure every student has a private space where they feel safe and respected. A person can laugh, make a comment, or share what happened with friends. Quickly change the other person's self-esteem. Also, the boy may feel humiliated about his body, the girl may feel very uncomfortable. I know I will. Having males in a girl's locker room or vice versa can drastically change someone's opinion of their body, making them feel even more self-conscious than they already are. I know if a boy would change in front of me, I would feel very violated and uncomfortable. My mother has always told me growing up that I will never go into a public bathroom myself unless I can beat the crap out of an adult. That goes for males my age as well, as they would be overpowering due to their genetic makeup. I support the policies being voted on tonight.
Hello, my name is Allison Smith. I live in Berwick Township. I'm a business owner and mother of 3 children, one of which is currently a student in the district. At the start of the new school year, with that comes all the paperwork, emergency forms listing who's allowed to have access to our children, health forms with potentially life-threatening allergies, social media releases, all some pretty serious and important stuff. This year we were able to complete them electronically from the comfort of our home. While signing these electronically, the school district has no idea who actually completed these forms. Yet here we are trying to pass a policy that requires a handwritten note to be delivered in person simply for the use of a preferred name and pronoun. If that doesn't tell us that this is a direct outing of trans students, I don't know what does. Let's be abundantly transparent. Those in favor of passing these anti-LGBTQ+ policies are basing their reasoning to do so solely on religious beliefs. It has been made incredibly obvious. Let us be reminded that we live in a country that gives us the constitutional right of freedom of religion. Our country was built upon the freedom of religion and the separation of church and state. It is incredibly hypocritical and selfish to think that only Christians should have their traditional values represented in our schools with zero regard for anyone else's values or lifestyle. If parents want Christian and traditional values taught to their children, there are private schools available to do so. You can't ask that teachers only teach reading, writing, and arithmetic, yet also want Christian values upheld. That is unfair and incredibly hypocritical. By using preferred names and pronouns requested by students who are simply respecting another human being. As stated by other community members, you have no problem calling James Jim or Peter Pete. This concept isn't any different. The only difference is that you're picking and choosing what applies to whom based on your personal agendas, which is in fact discriminatory. You don't get to pick and choose who freedom belongs to in the United States of America. If your religion believes that there are only 2 genders and anything else is a sin, that's your business. No one is forcing your child to be transgender simply by respecting another child's preferred name. Your religion is not an excuse to disrespect or discriminate against other human beings. If you pass these policies and any of our LGBTQ+ students in this district are harmed, whether by themselves or others, I want you to remember that you facilitated this. As far as your bathroom and locker room policies and insisting that your daughters aren't safe, let me remind you that all of the women I know, myself included, who have been sexually harassed, assaulted, or worse, have fallen victim to cisgender males, not transgender males. If you pass these policies, you're not protecting students, you're protecting your political and religious agenda, and that is indoctrination. That is discrimination, and that is not protecting all students. That is only protecting students you deem as worthy that fit in your box, which is the largest form of adult bullying children that I have ever seen. I strongly urge you to reconsider. Thank you.
I'm up. My name is Daniel Jensen. I'm from Holland Township. I'm alumni, taxpayer. My wife and I have 6 children. All 6 but 1 are in the school district, all taxpayers, so we have a foot in it. I heard one of the previous meetings that a board member doesn't have his children in the school. Well, let me tell you something. There's a reason for that, and you're listening to it. I have 13 grandchildren, and so far, none of them are coming here into this school district, or this school, because of what you're listening to. We have our values, and they're important to us. And to have this kind of culture pushed down the throats of our kids is just plain wrong.
1%.
Yeah. Now, I did some research on my own. About 17% of these transgender kids do commit suicide. I understand that. Now, there's some more statistics nobody's pointing out. 50% of these kids, when they reach adulthood, they try to backpedal. They try to get out of it. Well, what do you think they're going to be like? You get up in the morning, get out of the shower, step in front of the mirror, and your breasts are gone. Or if you're male, it's the other way. Of course they're going to be suicidal. What they're doing is insane. It's wrong. There's 2 genders. They're claiming there's 171. I'd like to see that list. That's crazy. This has to stop. Yeah, not science.
Not a back and forth. Please respect his time.
And you know what? When they do this process, they start them on drugs when they're very young. What's that doing to their organs and the rest of their bodies? And then when they reach adulthood and they try to reverse, you go see your doctor and the doctor says, sorry, you're on the drugs till you drop dead. I witnessed the testimony of that. Till you drop dead. Is that nice? Is this a good thing? The doctor won't even help the person get back out of the situation? That's what happened. He backpedaled. He took their money to do the job on them, alter their body, disappeared when they tried to get out of the situation. And this whole dead name thing, a parent has a child, puts a name on the birth certificate, 10 years later, well, that child's dead. What happened to it? Where is it? Where's your child? What did you do to it? This is crazy. These are children that you should be loving on for the gender that they are. Teach your little boys to grow up and be men. Teach your little girls to grow up and be good women. You don't try to coerce them into some other gender, 171 of them. Come on. This is insane. And you're worried about safety? Really? Transgender people, I just heard that transgender people don't cause any crimes or anything. Where were they all in Michigan? You know? What happened in Minneapolis? Yeah.
Mr. Jensen.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Bednar. I live in Hollenbach Township. My son attends school here. My 2 smaller ones will also come here because so far I'm pretty happy with this district, although I hear ups and downs. Everyone has it. I was not able to go to the previous meeting, but I got home. I watched the video twice. I noticed a couple supporters seem to back their policy with their Christian faith. Will those of different faiths or no faith at all be given the same consideration? As a proud pagan mother, I could wax on about gender, fluidity, transformation for very long, but I need much more than 3 minutes to do that, and probably a TED Talk stage. I naturally find it actually even more morally reprehensible to use something as personal as my spirituality to impose rules and regulations on my community. This is a public school, after all, and frankly, my mother just raised me that way. It's also extremely difficult for a person who studies this kind of history to sit back and watch a whole group of people be vilified and scapegoated. Historically, it never, ever ends well. On a more personal note, when I was in high school, my best friend came out as transgender. This was in 2005, and way before anyone can claim it was a social media trend. To be honest, I didn't even know what being trans meant, but after a brief explanation, I gave him a hug and said, cool, let's go grab an Annie Ann pretzel, which again is just how I was raised. Over the years, I've met so many wonderful people of the transgender community, each and every one of them a positive and beautiful influence on my life. For those who support these policies, I'm curious to know how many people of the trans community do you know personally? Have you listened to their stories over coffee? How have they impacted your life? At the last meeting, people spoke of logic. Not too long ago, bloodletting was considered a logical practice. Many people spoke of tradition, but failed to notice that the traditions that last are the ones that are adaptable. So many people are eager to inform us about what happened, quote unquote, back in my day. Well, sorry to inform you this, but this is no longer your day. It is no longer even my day. The children who attend this school, who deserve to grow and shape their futures with dignity and respect, it is their day. As adults, we have a moral obligation to make it a brighter day, a safer day, and a day better than all of those days that came before us. Thank you.
All right. Hello. My name is Lydia. And I'm sure you can guess what I came today to speak about. I have quite a few concerns. Firstly, I read through your policies. The first one discusses consciousness rights, which is kind of a legal term that refers to a doctor's right to, like, for example, like a Catholic hospital could say something like, we don't want to perform abortions here, and that's their right, but it's much more of a medical term than it does apply to, like, teaching. But furthermore, it was saying that, like, you're violating teachers' consciousness rights by requesting that they would use the student's preferred name or pronouns, and your alternative is to continue to violate their consciousness rights by asking them to use a completely different third set of pronouns, which is entirely humorous, and I'm not talking about they, them. Your policy specifically encourages teachers who don't feel like using gendered pronouns to refer to the student as you. And I just don't feel like that's a very appropriate way for a student to speak, or for a teacher to speak to a student. I feel like I would feel very insulted if my teacher just pointed at me and yelled, "You!" That's pretty insulting, right? And furthermore, it doesn't solve the issue of consciousness rights, right? Because it doesn't mean that they can say what they want. It means they can say what you want them to say, right? It doesn't really solve the problem. And furthermore, I would like to implore you to consider that the children who attend this school district are more than children. They're human people. And they have identities, and they're allowed to explore them because they're humans just like you and I. And truth be told, we have no idea how long any of us are going to be on planet Earth, right?
Yes.
Are you going to tell somebody who feels like their whole life they would rather have just tried something, right? Like, I wish I had just expressed myself as who I was. I wish I had just done what I wanted to do, right? Some people in this room are probably going to go home, they're going to say, I wish I spoke up. Right? And for trans people, it's the same. I wish I expressed myself. Would you deny these children the autonomy and opportunity to express themselves? They are humans just like you. I mean, I don't feel like I need to get into how, bureaucratic these policies are as well. I mean, one of them encourages for the multi-student use facilities that a gym teacher would have students change, then close down the entire changing room for 1 or 2 trans students to change, then bring all of the students out. I mean, that's like an extra, 15, 20 minutes, right? Don't you guys want your students to learn? Or are you way more concerned with this kind of political crap? Give your students autonomy. I'm begging you. I yield my time.
I'm not getting into the two things here. All I'm saying in the one policy, you have the word original, birth certificate. I will ask our superintendent, who does not have the answer. Our last one did not either. What happens when you get a birth certificate that says X from New York or New Jersey? What are you going to do for that child? I'm talking about an ambiguous type situation in Pennsylvania. It has not come about yet. But they are also going to allow that to be put on the birth certificate. For when I have caught a child coming out into this world, an innocent child, and thinking that my medical background could tell me how to tell what that child was to that parent, sometimes it doesn't occur. And we then have to go ahead and get our birth certificates done quickly. And all I'm saying is we need to look at that child also, because the original certificate may have got changed, again with what she was saying as a medical person. So the original birth certificate should be deleted from that, and then any other birth certificate that comes in after that And those who have had transgender would probably already have their new birth certificate, which would have their own name that they want on it. That's how it goes about. But think about the ambiguous children that are there. It's a very minority, but let's also think about that. Take the word original out. Thank you.
Hi, I am Gabby Malencourt. I live in Berwick Borough. So good evening, members of the school board. Thank you for everything you do and the work that you do for our community students. May I ask you guys a question? When you were voted in to do the school board, did you have to take an oath? Okay, well. Anyway, you clearly show that you don't respect the Constitution and the 14th Amendment. But I bet you respect the Second Amendment. And that's brought up. If it's just one student that needs help, isn't that enough? I can see through you. You're just pushing your own ideologies, which would be your own agenda, like Ms. May had stated at the last meeting. It makes total sense. You're just too stuck in your own ways and totally unwilling to open your mind. It's a power grab. Doesn't fit your traditional ways of life like you've always known. You're unfamiliar because you don't know and it possibly scares you. I don't know, something, you have some kind of issue with it. It's no reason to completely disregard a child's life because of your own morals, or lack thereof. I thought you were for all the children. This doesn't seem like it's for all the children. In a way, it's kind of a way I see bullying from policies. I don't know. Anyway, it's in different ways being a bully. Adults being bullies in different ways. It's not everyone, it's just ones to a specific group. Specifically, the ones you are trying to disregard. It is a minority, a very small group at that. So why are you so obsessed with these children? The locker rooms are going into, the bathrooms are going into, their genitals, well, and how they want to grow up to live. Maybe you need to be investigated where it comes to children. I'm sure losing 18 students a year to cyber school is a big financial hit on you. You keep this policy and you probably lose more to bullying. Sorry. Another subject is that I was a victim and I left the school because nobody cared. I suffered, but did the school board suffer? Did the principal suffer? No, they don't see it. They don't care. They don't want to listen either. But one day, something terrible is going to happen and they will regret not paying attention to the children's screams. That's what happens when it's too late, out of sight, out of mind. Isn't that what they say? These are new times. This is a new era. You care more about confirmation bias and your own emotional satisfaction, confirming your personal agendas against kids that don't fit your standards. We don't need that in a school board. We need people that care about all of the children, improving their lives, making them happier, and fixing problems. That's what governing and politics is about, being selfless and not selfish.
My name is Patricia Laurie, and I'm a resident of Berwick Borough. I'm speaking about Policy 216.2 on student records and Policy 719 on multi-user privacy facilities. I've been following this topic of accommodations and policies for trans and LGBTQ kids for a while now. Whether or not someone believes that being trans is real or not, we should all be able to agree that these kids are real. And these kids are dying. According to the Trevor Project, in 2024, half of all transgender kids seriously considered suicide versus 39% of all LGBTQ kids and 14% of their straight peers. What reduces these attempts by a significant amount, again, shown by research, is having at least one accepting adult in the school or the home. So identifying one counselor even one already on staff, to be the one that they go to talk to when they have been bullied or discriminated against would be extremely helpful. It could even save a life. Having access to gender-affirming bathrooms makes a difference. Being referred to by gender-affirming names and pronouns makes a difference. Bullying happens to 52% of LGBTQ kids, and even more trans kids in middle and high schools. Bullied kids are 3 times more likely to attempt suicide. So counteracting what happens in your hallways by having at least that one accepting person on staff and having all teachers look for bullying and dealing with it is the right thing to do. Keeping kids safe is part of that job. Helping them to do their job by addressing at least this one issue of bullying and acceptance is important. Kids' lives depend on it. How is the Berwick School Board determining these policies that get on the agenda? What is the process by which these policies are chosen? When is there any public discussion or debate on any of them? These are real concerns of the constituents of this district, and we deserve answers. You're making decisions that impact the teachers, the parents, and the students in a manner that keeps us all in the dark. Berwick deserves better than that, and vulnerable kids' lives may very well depend on it. Thank you.
First, I want to say proposing this nonsensical policy is incredibly embarrassing. Does any one of the board members know the attempt rates of the minorities you all are attacking? It's 10% for LGBTQ plus ages 13 to 24 in our state alone. 12% of the transgender and non-binary young people reported their attempt rates. That's the facts I asked for you in your last meeting. Fine. Still don't care. 7.3 for all students in our Columbia County. That is 1 in 14. And that was only grades 6, 8, and 10. This was from PA Youth Survey, which you can find on pa.gov. Same study revealed that 18.8 seriously considered and 15.7 actually made a plan. You banned flags, but 17 days later, Germany passed something called a landmark law called the Self-Determination Act. This allowed name and gender marker changes via simple declaration, no court, no evaluation. 14 plus minors would need family court or parental approval. Cited straight from our Library of Congress. Look at me, for I am the representation of queer youth, and I am no monster like made out to be by most. Sorry that I may scare some, sorry that my friends may scare some of you. But hey, maybe I'll just go as myself for Halloween.
Good evening. I'm Claudia Glenn in Salem Township. I strongly object to the blatant anti-transgender and LGBTQAI policies being pushed through this board without conscientious critique and discussion, though my following comments and questions are concerning board practices, standard practices. Per Robert's Rules of Order, a quote consent agenda may group routine, non-controversial items and place them into a single agenda item for a quick, unanimous approval with one vote. I submit that this rule is being violated by combining the agenda policy 000 through 719 for a single vote when it is clear controversial policies are included. These policies are not being discussed in a robust way for having such an impact on our district and our children. The public should also be informed on how the BSADA board committees are established. What is the guidance for how many members are on a committee, aside from the number that would constitute a quorum? Isn't the board president an ex officio committee member. That means non-voting, thus making the BSDA Policy Committee effectively a committee of one, and that one whose children are not enrolled in the district. How are potential policy directives delivered to the policy committee for proposal in writing? What is the process deciding and moving forward on the need for and the creation of new or revised policies? What are the standards and practices for researching and creating policies? How are they drafted? What resources does the committee rely upon? Do they consult and work with the administration, staff, professionals, and subject matter experts to ensure the best physical and psychological environment for our children? Furthermore, in my reading of the Sunshine Act and the PA Department of Education guidelines, any meetings conducted without the use of microphones or other means by which the public can follow discussions, comments, and votes is a violation and does not provide accessibility to everyone. These policies often conflict with the Pennsylvania Human Rights Act, which prohibits sex-based discrimination, including gender identity. The ACLU of Pennsylvania has opposed these policies, filing lawsuits against districts like Central Bucks and Red Lion. I have a copy with me tonight of a letter sent to the school board today from the Education Law Center outlining their concerns for these policies. In conclusion, this board is taking the views of a portion of the community and applying them to 100% of the students and faculty, thus creating rules that require some individuals to be treated differently. The safety and health of our children is at stake. I don't believe that someone with different beliefs requires my understanding or acceptance of their beliefs for them to exist as our children.
My name is Holly. I'm from Orange Township. And not...
Orange Township's not in the school district.
I know, but can't. I did come here for summer school.
Anyone else? With that, we'll move on to our agenda.
Oh, got one more.
Last one.
All right, my name is Matt Gates, Briar Creek Township. We were fortunate enough that when we moved here, our son and daughter both went through the Berwick School District. They both got a good education, prepared them for college, and were both productive members of society. It appalls me that I have to listen to a lot of this stuff because it's just not right. I accept other people; they should be accepting of how other people feel, right? So that's the way this world rolls. But we're preparing these kids for their future when they get outside of the school and in real life. And there's going to be nobody that's going to console them or allow them to. You have to conform to society. And I fully support what you guys are doing. I think it's the right thing. That's all I have.
Bob, are you still with us? No, we're moving to the agenda now. Oh, okay. The general items, we have 6 items for approval.
We cannot hear you.
We have 6 items for general approval tonight. We'll approve these items with one motion. All in favor? Aye. G1 through G6.
Illegal.
All. Transportation, we have 2 items, one motion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Personnel, we have 9 items. We will do the first 8 items with one motion, and then we will roll call item number 9. Motion to approve personnel items 1 through 8.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye, except for P2, I abstain from P2.
I abstain from P4.
I'm a no on pizza.
E7.
Yeah. No.
Personnel, item number 9, Caitlin Cash, special education long-term substitute teacher at bachelor, step 1. This will be a roll call vote. Motion to approve. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Nestle?
Yes.
Mr. Lanning?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller? Yes. Mr. Leon?
Yes.
Mrs. Post?
Yes.
And Mr. Yost?
Yes. Does anyone have any old business? Anyone have any new business?
I would like to talk about possibly discussing putting a playground in at East Berwick Elementary. We have 540 students there. We have 2 slides, about 10 or 12 swings, and a climbing wall. And I think we need to do something, so these kids have something to play on.
I agree.
So the Suffolk group was here. You were here for that, were you here?
I was here.
So they came and they were gonna build us a playground, and we never heard anything else again. You still have their contact information? I think, didn't you give us somebody's name?
Same group for doing the Amazon project?
Yeah, that's the main contractor up in Amazon. They came here and toured the facilities, and they sounded like they were gonna build us a playground. They haven't heard anything back. So, can we follow up with them? Let's find a contact.
Yeah, I'll have to get a contact. I can follow up.
Let's not spend.
Well, if we don't have to, yes, but if we do, I think we need to do something. At least give us something to play on.
I'll follow up.
Anybody else have any further business? That brings us to the last round of public comment. Please state your name and township or borough.
Christina Culver, once again from Salem Township. I find it so interesting that these policies which impact our school district, our students so significantly and clearly is controversial, were discussed in such a robust way by this board and of course voted on using the consent agenda vote. Anyway, I came prepared. I knew this would happen, so here's the letter that I wrote that I will be turning to the district office tomorrow. To whom it may concern. As the board has now passed policy 216, parents are now required to submit in writing and in person a letter that states what names and pronouns the staff of the Berwick School District can call our child. As I and my spouse think that my child's civil rights should be protected and that our child has a basic human right in making this decision themselves, we hereby give the school staff permission to use whatever name our child so desires. We leave this to our child, whether they want to go by Isabella or Bella or Bob or Boba or Beelzebub. As for pronouns, we ask that you again allow our child to pick the pronouns, as our child is the expert on their gender identity, not us. Therefore, you can ask our child, and our child will let you know what pronouns to use. Furthermore, we allow our child to change their name and pronouns as much as they want, yearly, monthly, daily, hourly, should he, she, they decide. You see, we love our child unconditionally, and we will let them change their name and pronouns 1,000,000 times so that I never have to write his, her, or their obituary. Sincerely, Travis and Christina Culver.
Salem Township. In the beginning of the school year, we were hurting for bus drivers in every school district to be able to bus our kids back and forth safely from school back and forth. Why would the homeschool districts think of making our kids take their general classes to back to their home schools and attend VOTEC classes, only take the trade classes at their VOTEC? Did they forget all about the money and grants and the construction that they took to rebuild VOTEC? They did a lot of money and information and basically just to make VOTEC better and bigger. So much money and construction has been put into VOTEC. Why would homeschool districts want to waste that, let alone waste our kids' time, when there is a lot of school available to be utilized for general classes and trade classes at the same time? And these kids are our future. Do you guys realize this? They are our future. To have good education, not to waste their time being transferred from bus to bus, building to building. Why can't we all work together as schools and try to make these kids get good education and need to make their future succeed for good education? That is the main thing I care about. My kids succeeding in having a good education. Try to work together with VOTEC and just let them utilize their school. Why are we doing this?
Nobody else.
If nobody else,
I'm sorry.
Raven Herring, Berwick, once again, I would like to remind you about what I said last time. Okay? For anybody who doesn't know, I was the kid that brought up a rape threat. Okay? And I did have the names with me, and I still do, if you would actually care. I have the names on hand. And if you don't care that well, then you can go ask my brother. Okay? And if you know what? You can ask me about that, because I'm not getting into that. But I would like to bring up that God is, theologically non-binary. Like, there is no he doesn't go by he or she. But you know what? We do call them a he, because that is preferred. Okay. I would also like to bring it up that Jesus Christ did not reproduce, so we could assume that he's asexual. Which, again, LGBTQIA+. So, even if you are preaching from a Bible and putting Bible references straight into policies, which is what it seems like, that is still off-brand and not actually following the Bible itself.
Public policy.
Separation of church and state. Thank you.
Cindy Jensen from Hollenbeck Township. And as a Christian mom, I've heard a lot of Christian bashing here today, and a lot of Christian bullying, I would say. And I just want to say to you on the board, stand strong on these things. You know how these homeschooled kids are talking about, you losing kids. You've lost plenty of them because of these kind of issues. You lost plenty of them because you force evolution and all these things down the throats of Christians. We took them and we left. We didn't come here and try to change everything just for us. We left. If that's how you want it, we'll just keep leaving. But this is ridiculous that you're being, I don't want to see you bullied by such a small group. To see little girls have to have boys in the bathroom to bully them there. That's bullying too. It really is. It's bullying to have a boy in the girls' bathroom. So I just want you to think about that too. Thank you.
I'm Lydia once again, and I would like to voice my disappointment with your choice in your votes today. I find it especially appalling that you guys voted in this way. I mean, firstly, I want to mention that it's not only regarding the bathroom, but there's a second policy regarding the pronoun usage and preferred names, just to be clear for some of us who might be a little bit lost on part of that. But as part of that policy regarding, people's names, and again, I read these policies, so as we know, there's a huge risk that, if you do something, when kids do something that their parents don't like, sometimes their parents aren't good parents and they beat them, right? And that's a bad thing, right? So here's the thing, a lot of parents don't agree with transgender children, and so when those children get outed as trans, guess what happens? It's gonna be a big surprise. The parents beat them. And do you know what your policy says at the end of it? Actually, a slap in the face to the transgender children who have suffered abuse because of these kinds of ridiculous issues. I just want to say the end of your policy mentions that if a staff member is concerned that a student is being abused, that they should just call Childline. Thanks, that's so helpful. And I'm sure that child would love to come speak to you after they came and told you that they were transgender, you told their parents, and their parents beat them. I bet they would love to tell you all kinds of things, right? Again, I'm so disappointed. This is abhorrent, and I hope you know that. I hope you can't sleep tonight.
Do you vote?
Oh, yeah.
Claudia, Salem Township, I'd like to thank the board tonight for their, for Ms. Moyer bringing up the playground and your discussion and advocacy. I strongly agree that our children need outside and recreational activity and places that they can expend their energy. But that in comparison to no discussion on the policies and an illegal consent agenda vote, I don't know what to say.
Hi, my name is Marla Conklin, and I'm the president of the VOTEC Alumni Association. I want you to know that if you decide to vote on the study, remember, it's for the students. More than anything, my mantra is, don't fix something that isn't broken. Thank you.
Leah Zielinski, Nescapic Borough. You approved 2 grants tonight. One was for a community garden project, and the other was for mobile sensory station kits. I'm wondering if you can tell me specifically who's heading these projects and what student involvement will look like.
Cannot hear you.
I was speaking to her and I was telling her to stay after and I'll go over with her.
And anybody else that's interested in answering her questions, welcome to stay forward also.
My name is Tony Phillips, Berwick Township. As a former graduate of the Columbia Montour VOTEC, I urge you to make sure that when you vote, you take into consideration these children. I've taught many, as a lot of you know, I've taught a lot of you, just retiring in January, but my heart will always be around. I went there, they prepared me to be a business teacher, and I know that it's helped many others. I'm not the only one, my whole family is gone. And I feel it's important that these kids get the whole entire school, not this back and forth. They need to be one. And bringing them in from different schools allow that to become one. So please, I urge you, take into consideration the students. We have many students that leave our school and they have told me flat out, if I didn't go to VOTEC, I'd quit. And that's fact. Thank you.
Larry Messina, Nescapic Borough, VOTEC alumni, Vice President of the Alumni Association. Keith talked about putting guidelines in effect to do the study. You as a school board right now, and all your members, know what happens if you disrupt the school, when you close Nescapic. You close it to save money. Did it save any money? No, it didn't. It's costing you more to keep that empty building over there than it is to have it full of students. This building here, if you ask any teacher that's a part of this school, will complain to you about how crowded it is and how inefficient this school is in teaching the students. So, before you decide to bring the students from Votech back, remember, you're going to have double busing. You're going to have to increase your teacher size in high school. You're going to have to, make special allowances for, your sports teams, for the students. It's not going to save you any money. It's not going to save any school any money. It's going to cost you more money. Right now, you already make a profit on the students you send to Votech because you get more from the state for each student than what you pay to Votech for them to educate them. So just think about it and make sure the guidelines they put in place are, let's say, friendly to the students.
It's all on your shoulders. We know you can do it.
So before this meeting, we had an executive meeting. We had 2 property items and 1 personnel item. Our next meeting will be October 6th, not as previously advertised. It'll be in the boardroom here at 6 o'clock. Motion to adjourn?
Second.